2018 was a very different year than the year 2023. Now, back in 2018, the Apollo Aero was born. That led to the eventual renaming of the Apollo Solo. Now, by the end of this video, we're going to answer whether or not the Apollo Solo is still worth it in 2023. Now, when you get to the end of the video, if you decide the Apollo Solo is worth it for you, use the Sweetwater link in the description to pick the Solo up today. It helps the channel out, helps the channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. And I'll remind you to like the video, leave a comment below if you've used the Apollo Solo, and subscribe to the channel for all things UAD, Luna, and audio production. Now, at the time of the Apollo Solo's release, there was really only one way into the UAD ecosystem, which was either an Apollo or a satellite. And at the time, that made this the most affordable way to get into that ecosystem. You could pick this up, you could use their plugins, and of course it was a little limited, which was the biggest gripe at the time of using the device. Now, over the last few years, I've covered many different ways to get the most out of your Apollo Solo, and if you're curious on that, you could watch those videos. Most of those techniques kind of revolve around committing to your sound early and using this more like an analog piece of equipment. Now, as far as the limitation of DSP, the power of this device has really kind of ultimately went up now that you can use the native plugins alongside the DSP accelerated plugins, which ultimately I think is really helpful. If you have a very big mix, you have a bunch of tracks, and of course you're using all native plugins, because computers are powerful enough to do that these days, but let's say you need to re-record a vocal or you need to add some sort of new acoustic guitar track. This interface affords you the ability to now track in real time with a whole vocal chain, add in some reverb and delay, and again, no latency. So I see that as a huge win for the Apollo Solo, and no matter how you slice it, if you're using any other interface, eventually you are going to get latency the bigger that your session gets. Of course, build quality, I mean, it's top notch. It's an Apollo. Universal Audio does great stuff there, so there's not really much of a need to talk about that. I think the biggest talking point is price point. Typically brand new, you can pick this up for around $500, maybe up to $700, depending on the edition or what plugins Universal Audio decides to include with it at the time. Now, I think largely that price point is kind of sort of paying for both the hardware and the plugins, not just the interface. I think if it was just the interface, you'd probably see a sub $400 price point. If you're a bedroom studio producer, if you're someone who only really tracks vocals or maybe an acoustic guitar and you need great quality ADDA, you need great quality preamps for your vocals, this guy is going to be really good for you. Again, especially now considering that not only do you have the DSP acceleration, but we now have UAD native. So as far as drawbacks go, again, like talking about the pre's and the price, again, that's kind of hard to discuss that as a downside, because again, I think if you're looking for more than 2 pre's, you're not considering this in the first place again. So I would say this, at the end of the day, I think the value of the Apollo Solo has really ultimately only gone up. I would say that the power of the Apollo Solo has only gone up. If you're getting the Apollo Solo today, I think you're gonna really enjoy the interface, especially considering if the 2-in, 2-out fits your needs. You're gonna really love that extra advantage of the DSP acceleration in combination of getting your license of the UAD native. So huge win. Apollo Solo definitely still worth it in 2023. If you agree, disagree, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for all things UAD, and to support the channel further, go to thestevekinney.com. You can pick up UAD presets made specifically for the Apollo Solo, Luna templates, or you could book time with me directly one-on-one to go over your audio productions. And just a quick reminder, if you are looking to pick up the Solo, use the Sweetwater link in the description below. Again, it really helps the channel out. I really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much, guys. Cheers. We'll see you on the next video.